Good afternoon, children. Today we are going to discuss the first chapter of studies written by Sir Francis Bacon. Now let us get through. Let us listen about the author. Okay? Listen to me attentively. Of Studies, it is an essay written by Sir Francis Bacon. He is considered the father of English essay. Sir Francis Bacon was a great English philosopher, statesman, and a pioneer of modern scientific thought. He is regarded as the father of English essay. Francis Bacon was born on 22nd January 1561 in London. He was the son of Sir Nicholas Bacon, keeper of the Great Seal for Elizabeth I. Bacon studied at Cambridge University and at Gray's Inn and became a member of Parliament in 1584. He was knighted in 1603 and was appointed to a succession of posts culminating like his father with Keeper of the Great Seal. Later, he was appointed as Lord Chancellor, the most powerful position in England. Shortly afterwards, he was charged by Parliament with accepting bribes, which he admitted. He was fined and imprisoned and then banished from court. But the king later pardoned him. He retired to his home at Gorhambury in Hertfordshire, where he continued to write. He died in London on 9th April 1626. Bacon's real interest laid in science. He has been called the father of empiricism. His works argued for the possibility of scientific knowledge based only upon inductive reasoning and careful observation of events in nature. He published his ideas in Novum Organum, an account of the correct method of acquiring natural knowledge. His another work on science is Advancement of Learning. His other popular works include The New Atlantis, Wisdom of the Ancients, and Most Adorable Essays, first published in 1597 and later published by adding some more essays in 1625. The present essay of studies is taken from his book, Essays or Counsels, Civil and Moral. Here, something is written about the writer. You listen to me attentively, and I'm going to explain something to you about the author. You know, the name of the author of studies is Sir Francis Bacon, and he is the philosopher, English philosopher, statesman, and a pioneer of modern scientific thought. And he is regarded as the father of English essay. He was born in London in the year 1561 on January 22nd. He was the son of Sir Nicholas Bacon. He is the keeper of the Great Seal of Elizabeth I. Actually, Bacon studied at Cambridge University and at Gray's Inn and became a member of Parliament in 1854. He was conferred knighthood in the year 1603 and was appointed to a succession of posts culminating like his father with Keeper of the Great Seal. And he was also later, he took the legacy of his father as the Keeper of the Great Seal. Later, he was appointed as Lord Chancellor, the most powerful position in England. Actually, he has taken the greatest position of the Lord Chancellor, but shortly afterwards, he was charged by Parliament with accepting bribes. He had accepted bribes and he admitted it also. And so, he was fined and imprisoned and then banished from court. But the king later pardoned him. Though the king pardoned him, he was not taken into the court, it seems. He retired to his home at Gorhambury in Hertfordshire, where he continued to write. He died in London on 9th April 1626. Bacon's real interest laid in science. He has been called the father of empiricism. Children, get through the meaning of empiricism. I want all of you to refer your dictionaries and tell me the meanings. Okay, some difficult words I am going to note to you, and you note down the difficult words and find out the meanings. For some glossary, I am going to give the glossary itself. His works argued for the possibility of scientific knowledge based only upon inductive reasoning and careful observation of events in nature. He published his ideas in Novum Organum, an account of the correct method of acquiring natural knowledge. His another work on science is Advancement of Learning. See, his other popular works include The New Atlantis, Wisdom of the Ancients, and the Most Adorable Essays, first published in 1597 and later published by adding some more essays in 1625. As we have already learned it, as we have already got through it, we have already got through it. He is considered the father of English essay, and some more essays are included in his Wisdom of the Ancient and the Most Adorable Essays, which was published in the year 1597, and it was later published again by adding some more essays in the year 1625. The present essay of studies is taken from his book Essays or Counsels, Civil and Moral. See here, look into the glossary. Glossary. See, these are the difficult words that are given in your essay. Get through the meanings for the difficult words. See, retiring. Retiring. It is an adjective. The meaning is preferring not to spend time with other people, prefer to be alone. Mohan's son is a shy, retiring, short sort of boy. It is the uses. Discourse, written or spoken communication or debate. Mr. Jacob likes to engage in lively discourse with his friends. Disposition, the action of arranging people or things in a particular way. Uses, housewives are real financial managers in the disposition of funds given to them by their husbands. Counsel, see here it is a noun. You have to pronounce it as counsel. Advice, advice, advice. We need a wise counsel to develop our business. See, marshal, it is also a noun. Assemble or arrange in order here. She marshaled her thoughts before answering to the panel. Sloth, sloth, laziness. Uses, sloth and carelessness are the chief reasons for one's failure in life. See, the word affectation, it is also a noun, meaning behavior, speech, or writing that is pretentious and designed to impress. He speaks clearly and without affectation. Pruning, noun, reducing something by removing things that are not necessary. The government has decided to prune the budget this year to save money from unnecessary expenditure. See, some other meanings are there in the second page itself. Crafty, clever, especially in a dishonest or secret way. She is an old crafty woman. Contempt, it's a verb, meaning treat or regard with contempt, dislike. Uses, the wicked contempt God. Contradict, contradict, meaning deny or be in conflict with. Uses, fact always contradicts fantasy. Confuse, it is not confused, it is confused. It's noun. Prove to be wrong. He confuted his opponents with facts and logic. Here it is diligence. Diligence. Careful and persistent work. The police are pursuing their inquiries with great diligence. Flashy, adjective. Lack flavor, tasteless. Ravi always had a flashy bike. Witty. Witty, using words in a clever way. He was a witty, engaging, clever man who devoted his life to a Political philosophy, subtle, sharp. Newton has a very subtle mind. Stand, noun, obsolete, stop or hindrance. Impediment, it is also a noun meaning a hindrance or obstruction in doing something. Uses, in a number of developing countries, poverty has been one of the impediments to progress. Wrought, worked. Nowadays, one must choose peaceful life wrought with duty and rest. Reigns, it's a noun, archaic, kidneys. Maketh, archaic form of make. Doth, archaic form of do. Okay, these are the meanings for the difficult words. Let us get through the difficult words once again. These are the difficult words. Retiring, discourse, disposition, counsel, martial, sloth, affectation, pruning, crafty, contempt, contradict, confute, diligent, diligence, flashy, witty, subtle, stern, impediment, wrought, reigns, maketh, and doth. These are the difficult words from your essay. What is the essay we are going to discuss now? It is the first prose lesson from your textbook, English textbooks. I have already given you the PDF in your WhatsApp groups. You please get through the PDF once again after you listen to my class. See here, half studies. How many of you have the habit of reading books? Do you agree that nowadays majority of the people are losing the habit of reading books? If so, why? Do you know there are lots of benefits in studies? Do studies cure illness really? If yes, how? See, listen to me attentively when I am reading the essay aloud to you. Listen to me, Kiran, Harikrishna, Badri. Em vinnarra? See, children, ఇక్కడ మనము ఫ్రాన్సిస్ బేకన్ గారి గురించి విన్నాము. ఫ్రాన్సిస్ బేకన్ గారి గురించి ఏమర్థమైంది మీకు? ఆయన హీస్ కన్సిడర్డ్ ద ఫాదర్ ఆఫ్ మోడర్న్ ఎస్సే అని చెప్పాను. ఆధునిక వ్యాస రచన, ఇంగ్లీష్ లో ఆధునిక వ్యాస రచనకి ఆద్యుడు ఆయన. తర్వాత ఆయన గురించి చాలా చాలా చెప్పబడ్డాయి. ఆయన ఫాదర్ నికోలాస్ బేకన్ అనే ఆయన ఎలిజబెత్ I యొక్క గ్రేట్ సీల్ ఆఫ్ ఇంగ్లాండ్ కి ఆయన కేర్ టేకర్ గా ఉన్నారు, లేకపోతే ప్యాట్రన్ గా ఉన్నారు. See here, look into the textbook. కీపర్ ఆఫ్ ద గ్రేట్ సీల్ ఫర్ ఎలిజబెత్ I యొక్క గ్రేట్ సీల్ కి కీపర్ గా ఎలిజబెత్ I అనే ఆవిడ ఇంగ్లాండ్ మహారాణి. తర్వాత బేకన్ కేంబ్రిడ్జ్ యూనివర్సిటీలోను గ్రేస్ ఇన్ లోను చదువుకున్నారు. 1584లో పార్లమెంట్ మెంబర్ అయ్యారు. అంతేకాకుండా 1603లో అతనికి నైట్హుడ్ అనే ఒక హోదా అతనికి ఇవ్వబడింది. తర్వాత ఆయన వాళ్ళ నాన్నగారిలాగే తను కూడా కీపర్ ఆఫ్ ద గ్రేట్ సీల్ అయ్యారు 1603 తర్వాత ఇంగ్లాండ్ లోని అత్యంత శక్తివంతమైన పొజిషన్స్ లార్డ్ ఛాన్సలర్ గా ఆయన నియమితులయ్యారు. తర్వాత కొంతకాలానికి చాలా తొందరలోనే లార్డ్ ఛాన్సలర్ గా నియమితులైన కొంతకాలానికి తన మీద లంచాలు తీసుకుంటున్నాడు అనే నేరం మోపబడింది. దాన్ని అతను ఒప్పుకున్నాడు. తర్వాత అతనికి ఫైన్ వేశారు, జైల్లో పెట్టారు. అంతేకాకుండా కోర్టు నుండి బ్యానిష్ చేశారు అతన్ని. కానీ రాజుగారు దయతలిచారట. తర్వాత విడిచిపెట్టేశారు. అప్పుడు ఇతను హెడ్ఫోర్డ్ షైర్ లోని గోంబరి అనే తన ఇంటికి వెళ్ళిపోయాడు. అక్కడ రచనా వ్యాసంగాన్ని కొనసాగించాడు. 1626 ఏప్రిల్ 9వ ఆయన లండన్ లో చనిపోయాడు. హీఈస్ ద కాంటెంపరీ ఆఫ్ ద గ్రేటెస్ట్ డ్రామటిస్ట్ ఆఫ్ ఆల్ టైమ్స్ షేక్స్పియర్. బేకన్ యొక్క ఇంట్రెస్ట్లన్నీ కూడా సైన్స్ మీదే ఉన్నాయి. ఆయన ఎంపీరిసిజం కి ఫాదర్ గా పిలువబడ్డాడు. అయితే సైంటిఫిక్ నాలెడ్జ్ అనేది ఎప్పుడు కూడా రీజనింగ్ మీద, కేర్ఫుల్ అబ్జర్వేషన్ ఆఫ్ నేచర్ మీద ఆధారపడి ఉంటుందని అతను చెప్పాడు. అంతేకాకుండా సైన్స్ మీద అతనికి ఉన్న ఐడియాస్ అన్నింటినీ నోవం ఆర్గానం అనే ఒక బుక్ లో ఆయన రాసి పెట్టాడట. నేచురల్ నాలెడ్జ్ ని ఎలా ఎక్వైర్ చేసుకోవాలి అనేది దానిలో చెప్పాడు. సైన్స్ అనేది అడ్వాన్స్మెంట్ ఆఫ్ లెర్నింగ్ కి ఎలా ఉపయోగపడుతుంది అనే దాని మీద కూడా సైన్స్ అడ్వాన్స్మెంట్ ఆఫ్ లెర్నింగ్ అనే ఒక పుస్తకంలో ఆయన రాశాడు. అంతేకాకుండా ఆయన యొక్క ఫేమస్ రచనలు న్యూ అట్లాంటిస్, విజ్డమ్ ఆఫ్ ది ఏన్షియన్స్ అండ్ మోస్ట్ అడోరబుల్ ఎస్సెస్ ఫస్ట్ పబ్లిష్డ్ ఇన్ 1597. తర్వాత ఇంకా కొన్ని ఎస్సేలు కలిపి మళ్ళా 1625లో ఆయన ఎస్సేస్ ని పబ్లిష్ చేశారు. ఇక్కడ మీకు ఇవ్వబడిన ఆఫ్ స్టడీస్ అనే ఎస్సే తను రాసిన పుస్తకం, ఒక పుస్తకం కంపైల్ చేసిన ఒక బుక్ పేరు ఎస్ఏస్ ఆర్ కౌన్సిల్ సివిల్ అండ్ మోరల్ అనే ఒక పుస్తకంలో నుండి ఇక్కడ ఆఫ్ స్టడీస్ అనేది తీయబడింది. లిసన్ టు మీ అటెంటివ్లీ when I am reading the lesson aloud to you. Observe how I pronounce certain words. Studies serve for delight, for ornament, and for ability. What is the purpose of studying? There are three main purposes are there. There are threefold purpose of studying. Studies serve for delight, for ornament, and for ability. Their chief use for delight is in privateness and retiring. For ornament is in discourse, and for ability is in the judgment and disposition of business. For expert men can execute and perhaps judge of particulars. What are the three uses of studies? Studies serve for delight, for ornament, and for ability. The chief use, the main use of studies is for delight. It is in privateness and retiring. We use the studies in our privateness, and in retiring means we read books for delight when we are at our leisure, when we are in our leisure time. And the second use of studies is for ornament. Ornament. How do we consider studies as ornament? It is in discourse. And for ability, the third one is for ability, is in the judgment and disposition of business. See here, there are three main uses of studies. It is means when you are in a relaxing mood, you use it is for delight. When you see here, it is for ability, it is in judgment and in disposition of business. In discourse means when you are engaging in some conversation or in some concert, you use it as an ornament. You use study as an ornament. And for ability, in the judgment and disposition of business. It is also another use of studies is for ability. It is in the judgment and disposition of business. For expert men can execute and perhaps judge of particulars one by one. But the general counsels and the plots and marshalling of affairs come best from those that are learned. To spend too much time in studies is sloth. To use them too much for ornament is affectation. To make judgment wholly by their rules is the humor of a scholar. The perfect nature and are perfected by experience. For natural abilities are like natural plants that need pruning by study. and studies them just give for directions too much at large, except they be bounded in by experience. Crafty men contempt studies, simple men admire them, and wise men use them. What they teach, not their own use, but that is the wisdom without them, and above them, one by observation. Read not to contradict and confute, not to believe and take for granted, not for fine talk and discourse, but to weigh and consider. Some books are to be tasted, others to be swallowed, and some few to be chewed and digested. That is, some books are to be read only in parts, others to be read but not curiously, and some few to be read wholly and with diligence and attention. Some books also may be read by deputy and extracts made of them by others, but that would be only in the less important arguments. And the mainer sort of books, else distilled books, are like common distilled waters, flashy things, reading maketh a full man, conference ready man, and writing an exact man. And therefore, if a man write little, he had need have a great memory. If he confer little, he had need have a present wit. And if he read little, he had a great memory. He had need have much cunning to seem to know that he doth not. See here, see, some books are to be tasted, others to be swallowed, and some few to be chewed and digested. That is, some books are to be read only in parts, others to be read but not curiously, and some few to be read wholly and with diligence and attention. Some books also may be read deputy and extracts made of them by others, but that would be only in the less important arguments and the mainer sort of books. Else, distilled books are like common distilled waters, flashy things. Reading maketh a full man, conference a ready man, and writing an exact man. And therefore, if a man write little, he had need have a great memory. If he confer little, he had need have a present wit. And if he read little, he had need have much cunning. To seem to know that he doth not. Histories make men wise, poets witty, the mathematics subtle, natural philosophy deep, moral grave, logic and rhetoric, able to contend. Beyond studia in Morse, nay, there is no stronger impediment in the wit, but may be wrought out by fit studies, like as diseases of the body may have appropriate exercises. Bowling is good for the stone and drains, shooting for the lungs and breast. Gentle walking for the stomach, riding for the head, and the like. So, if a man's will be wandering, let him study the mathematics. For in demonstration, if his wit be called away, never so little, he must begin again. If his wit be no apt to distinguish or find differences, let him study the schoolmen, for they are simini sectores. If he be not apt to beat our matters and to call upon one thing to prove and illustrate another, let him study the lawyer's cases. So every defect of the mind may have a special receipt. Okay. This is the story. This is the essay. Okay. See. Listen to a scholar's analysis about your essay. Okay.
Hello, friends. Now we are going to discuss a very interesting and a very popular essay written by Francis Bacon, titled Of Studies. A very characteristic speciality about Francis Bacon is that he doesn't bother about an introduction for his essay. He delves right into the topic. So let us start reading the essay. This is how it begins. Actually, I would love to read the whole essay to you, because usually in class, that is what I do. I read the whole essay once so that the students get a feel of it. But then we are going to do that now. So let's take it sentence by sentence. So this is how the essay goes. Studies. So the title is Of Studies. Studies serve for delight, for ornament, and for envy. The chief use for delight is in privateness and retiring. For ornaments is in discourse, and for ability is in the judgment and disposition of business. For expert men can execute and perhaps judge of particulars one by one, but the general counsels and the plots and marshalling of affairs come best from those that are learned. What he says is this, that studies need not be interpreted as education alone. It also oftentimes is essay. By studies, he means reading books. That is, if you are a person who is well read, who is trained in a certain line of business, it will improve your judgment of things. And then he goes on to say, for expert men can execute, that is, and perhaps judge of particulars one by one, but the general counsel. So what he means there is that people who are experts, or people who are adept at certain things, people who have this innate ability to do things, to execute things, they can manage quite well even without reading. But then when it comes to the marshalling of affairs, the organizing of things and managing of things, the best is it is done by people who are educated. So that is, so you can see how in that one sentence, so much of matter is packed in. I guess I can go on speaking longer on this sentence, but this I'm just giving you the bare minimum of what he means there. Then he goes on to another aspect regarding studies. To spend too much time in studies is sloth. To use them too much for ornament is affectation. To make judgment wholly by the rules is the humor of a scholar. So it is good. It is true that studies is serves for entertainment. It gives you a lot of delight. But if you're going to read and read and read and do nothing else, spending too much of time on reading is actually a sign of sloth or laziness. So it is not good to spend too much time on reading. And again, if you use it too much for ornament, it is affectation. That is, if you're going to always air your learning, and if you're going to show off what you have read and use it too much to ornament your arguments and speech, that would seem very artificial. That is what he means by affectation. People would think you're showing off, you're not being genuine. And the third one, to make judgment wholly by the rules is the humor of a scholar. That is, it is true that studies would help you to make better judgments, but then if you're going to go only by the books, And then that would be the humor of a scholar. That is what a scholar would do. That is, in practical life, a person can't always follow things by the book. He has to make adjustments, or he has to take into consideration the practical elements. And so going strongly and strictly by the book, again, is not a desirable quality. And then he goes on to yet another idea. They perfect nature and are perfected by experience. For natural abilities are like natural plants that need pruning by study. And studies themselves do give forth the directions too much at large, except they be bounded in by experience. Now he tells us the importance of experience. They perfect nature. That is, they studies kind of refine your character. They make you more sophisticated. At the same time, to use your studies in the most appropriate manner, you need to have the experience of life. It is life experiences which will hold the skills that you have gained through your studies. And he gives a wonderful comparison there. He says natural abilities are like natural plants, and they need to be pruned. So if you allow a plant to grow, they'll just grow wild, going in all directions. But then when you prune them, what happens is it will look more beautiful, and the plant would remain more healthy, that is. And so that is why he says natural abilities are like natural plants. They should be pruned by experience. So it is not enough if you just learn things, but you also need experience to supplement what you gain from your education. Crafty men condemn studies. Now, each of these sentences are actually very popular. You might have found them quoted often. Now, this is again a very famous sentence. Crafty men condemn studies, simple men admire them, and wise men use them. So this is why I mentioned in one of the earlier videos on Bacon's prose style that Bacon's sentences are very...
Okay, children, let us get through about the lesson. Listen to me attentively. In this essay, Bacon explains that there are three uses of studies. Firstly, studies give in our leisure time. Studies give us delight in our leisure time and in privacy. We can spend our time reading books which give us both enjoyment and education. Secondly, reading helps us to speak and communicate with people more efficiently. Thirdly, studies help us to deal with our problems of life more effectively. We can make good judgment of matters and issues. Studies help professional experts to deal successfully with particular cases. See here. Study has some disadvantages too. Spending too much time reading books will make a man lazy. Another disadvantage is that those who study too much may make a show of their learning. This affectation should be avoided. Again, too much study of books may develop in us a tendency to separate studies from their practical application in day-to-day life. The scholar should avoid such bad tendencies. This bookish knowledge should be guided by experience of life. Practical experience helps us to apply them to real life situations. There are cunning and crafty people who think that they need not want practical experience of life. Simple people admire book learning, but wise men use studies and apply them to life situations. Bacon prescribes some rules of study. We should not read just to contradict or argue with others. We should not blindly believe whatever we study in the books. We should keep an open mind. Bacon wants lovers of books to use their critical judgment and evaluate impartial opinions of the authors. According to Bacon, all books are not to be read in the same manner. There are different types of books, and Bacon tells us how we may approach each type of book. There are some books to be read in parts, so we may skip through the pages. Some books are to be read completely, but these books need not be studied well. We can read them for our curiosity. But some other books are to be studied carefully and digested because their form and content are very important and useful for us in our practical life. Some books are condensed or abridged like distilled water, bright but tasteless. Such books are to be read by assistants because the matter is very less. Now Bacon tells us how studies cure the diseases of our mind. Reading makes a person Reading makes a person up to date. Every subject has its own value for the reader. History helps us to enhance our wisdom. Poetry makes us imaginative. The study of mathematics makes men clever and quick in grasping. The study of natural science increases the depth of mind. On the other hand, morality makes men grave, and the study of logic and rhetoric enables men to argue well. The studies reform our character and make us more civilized. Studies can cure diseases of the mind just as physical exercises cure defects of the body. For example, bowling is good for kidneys, shooting for the lungs, and walking for digestion. Similarly, mathematics is a strong cure for mind wandering. Scholastic philosophy is good for